yo.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome back to Fartface.
Welcome back to Fartface. Are you excited to be here for a second run? I know you're already annoyed that I'm not talking close enough to the microphone. I can tell in your eyes that you're annoyed, but it just feels awkward to me to shove my face over here.
It feels awkward to shove your face in the microphone.
We won't do what we were doing before we pressed record with the microphones. They are phallic though.
Yeah.
I will admit. Yeah. Episode 2. I'm so excited to talk about new things with you today. Coming off of what has been a very gnarly monthly cycle for me, as you well know. I rode the waves. I spent some time underwater.
Yeah.
It's like funny, not funny, because the suffering is very real from hormones at this. I don't know. To me, I wonder if people are going to be like, she's crazy. She needs actual help. But I'm doing my very best work to balance them. I went to the hormone doctor. I got the, it's like the wild yam cream, which is supposed, so most of the stuff that I checked that is like, you know, normal at this age, like the brain fog,
the ability to talk or complete sentences,
total brain fog, losing words, like not sleeping well, just feeling really moody, sweaty, all that stuff that I checked. He's like, that all is progesterone, which is super normal as we age. And we talked about that last time about, you know, finding the balance of what is just a normal progression of your body and how do you meet that emotionally and just kind of try and ride the waves of that, or where do you find intervention is necessary. And for me, those like 5 days out of the month that I was feeling really in despair, or like just waking up and thinking, I don't want to be here today. That scared me. And so that was where I chose, like, okay, what is the intervention that is the cleanest and the easiest and the simplest, so that I'm not overhauling my whole diet or something, and just like, let me try one thing at a time and see if it makes a difference. And I didn't have time enough this month before I got to that low place in the hormones. So I did start the wild yam cream, but I will update like in 30 days if somehow that, you know, helped or was working or was better. But I woke up so sad and feeling like just the weight of the world, and like every person who's hurting, every person who's hungry, every person who is being mistreated, or it was inside my chest. So I decided that what would be a good idea is that I should start a morning practice of every morning recording something on Instagram Reels that would speak to the people that would help.
Was that your post yesterday? I loved it.
Because you read the whole thing. I swear to God, so many people did not read the whole thing and didn't get. So my post on Instagram Reels was like, I used kind of like overly emotional music, because humor is how I cope with a lot of this. And so I'm talking about, like, if you woke up with the weight of the world on your chest and it's such a hard day, just look for signs from the universe. And one of the signs from the universe I said to look for was clouds that are shaped like penises. And that's, did you not get to that?
I didn't read the whole part.
So I have people
worried about you.
Yeah, no, legitimately, my Aunt Nancy, who I've not spoke to for 2 years, reached out to me and was like, honey, I just want you to know I'm always.
Oh my gosh. No, I didn't have enough time to get through it, and I meant to go back and listen to it.
Well, that's exactly what happened. And so
you're already misunderstood on the internet.
Already misunderstood on the internet. And the truth is, I hate Instagram. I've been like very candid about that. It's just the place that souls go to die. I don't want to participate there. I like the idea of YouTube and podcasts and, you know, maybe book talk for my book. But other than that, I don't really want to be on social media. I haven't been. It's not like a part of me that feels good or happy. So then,
gosh.
So I wake up the next morning and start, you know, bleeding like crazy, like have this full period. And I think I accelerated my cycle by starting that wild yam cream.
Because you were early.
Because I was like 6 days early, which is crazy because I only used it for 3 days or something before I started. But anyways, it's a really good example of, you know, trying to ride the waves and not grab on to the discomfort and make big life changes. Just like, don't cut your hair after a breakup, right? Like simple rules like that. But then also when I spoke to you and I was feeling so frustrated, and you were giving me all these ideas about, you know, did you read this book, or does this idea help or whatever? And I was getting pissed. And I was like, I know all the things. It's just not making me feel better. And I think at the crux of that is what you brought up, which is integration and the concept of integration. So I thought that would be a cool thing to talk about today.
Cool. I love that.
Okay.
And also you need to tell a really more embarrassing story. Last time I shared my essentially violent quitting, blowing up my job.
Right.
And so we have to fit that in at some point. So I need to make sure at least you share something equally as embarrassing today. So we'll get there.
That was my embarrassing story about posting for the first time in a year to Instagram and saying things about like how you're going to make it and it's going to be okay.
And everyone missed the penis part.
Everyone missed that, like I said, something funny and uplifting at the end.
Yeah.
Like it was just...
You needed a penis in the sky of your graphic.
I know that's my problem. I'm not a digital marketing person, you know?
Yeah.
But yes, I agree with you. It could have been better. And it was funny had you stayed until the 5th slide that somehow I thought people were going to watch 5 slides and listen to this weird violin music.
I'm really proud of you that you did it.
Really?
Yes. Because for those of you that don't know, Katie is in the process of finishing up a book, a detailed play-by-play of what I would like to call her reckoning, right? Or her dark night of the soul. I don't know. What would you call it?
Sure. Yeah. A spiritual awakening, a healing journey, a cycle of grief.
So she's written this really cool account of her experience with that. And she's going to be, releasing her book soon, but she needs to release it to an audience. And so we've been, I have been in marketing for a long time, and I have been in this social media hustle with my own business as a nutritionist and a yoga teacher and a somatic healer. And so I have been encouraging her to put something out there, anything out there to start to build her brand and build her name. So I was just like, I feel like you were talking about, you've been in paralysis mode for a while.
I've been in paralysis,
even if it wasn't perfect.
Look what happened. Not only was it perfect,
happened.
Aunt Nancy thought I was suicidal. That's what happened.
But people are paying attention. The most important thing is that people are paying attention. Honestly, like, you put something out there and it could have landed totally flat and no one could have said anything, but it made people listen to it. People reached out. They know that Katie's up to something.
Oh, okay.
So things are changing for Katie.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that was a breaking of the ice. And I think that was a really good exercise of, and everyone does this, right? You just got to do it. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
And like that little blip in the radar of things will come and go.
That's true.
But you popped your Instagram cherry.
Okay.
Essentially.
I guess
Is that inappropriate?
No, it's not.
So you did. You like ripped the Band-Aid off. You put something out there. Was it perfect? Did it land? No, but people read it.
Yeah.
And now they know like something's going on with Katie.
Yeah. Either
Katie is exploring. Katie's exploring and she's putting stuff out there. Like, so I think that if anything else, it was just a good lesson in just doing it.
Okay.
And letting it not be maybe absolutely perfect,
right.
But people are listening.
Yes.
And so Katie needs to start building her brand. And this is what we're doing here.
Yeah. And it's just such a funny, like being a mom of an 18 and a 21-year-old, I've been ridiculed so much
but
for
fuck
like
those bitches.
I mean, fuck those bitches. But like, you can't unhear the amount of times that they've been like, that's so cringe.
Oh man.
Oh my God. And the truth is I set this environment up like with my daughters. I was like, this is going to be a place of love and light and we support each other no matter what. But like razzing is absolutely allowed. Like we're absolutely allowed to give each other shit.
They razz you a lot.
I know. And I'm not sure I should have set it up that way. I set it up because I wanted to razz them and not have them call it like bullying or abuse of any kind.
Right.
But then it came back at me tenfold. And I was like, I might do that differently if I had it to do again.
Yeah. And your kids aren't your audience anyways.
It's true. That's what I was just like, block me.
Yeah.
So you won't see my stuff.
Yeah. They should block you.
Yeah.
No, my kids don't really like any of my stuff. I see they see it, but I don't ever get any kind of
that was cute,
interaction.
Mom, or good job, or way to put yourself out there. Yeah. So anyway, all that to explain why I'm so gun shy about building a brand, because first of all, I do think you caught on quickly and you understood that was sort of an imperative route to being a modern business person. But I think for a lot of people, this like, hey guys, welcome back to my channel is really cringy or has been really cringy. And so I have to keep reminding myself that, I'm not building a brand to say nonsense or to sell products. That's not like the intent is, I wanted to find a purpose and I wanted to help people. And I want, especially women our age and going through similar things, to feel not alone. Like that is really, truly at the heart of it. And so I have to keep reminding myself, if you have really pure intentions that way, then you can't be cringy, even if your Aunt Nancy thought you were going to off yourself.
Right. And that is super funny. But you know what? Also, like, the world has changed and the way we do business has changed.
Correct.
And like, even if you relate it to like dating has changed, like people don't meet in person that often. They meet on apps. Mm-hmm. And so if you have a business, now there's not a lot of like in-person type of business correspondence. It's like being online. And so it's like, does anybody want to be on apps? No, not really. Does anybody want to be like pimping themselves out on Instagram and freaking TikTok and like, yeah, hey, look at me. Hey, look at me. Hey, look at me. But it's kind of the world we live in now.
It is the world. And I think there's a lot of ways I can start looking at it more positively too. Like, I hate office culture. We spent all last episode bitching about toxic corporate office culture. So that's not where I want to be. So if the counter to that is creating content and then just releasing it, being very yogic about it and not worrying, you know, if people call you and are concerned for your mental well-being.
I think the lesson learned is, dick earlier.
Okay.
Bring in the dick earlier.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, right? Is that what we learned?
Generally, I think. Because we were just saying,
I haven't dicking.
Yeah. I haven't been dicked down like really good.
Yeah.
In a too long. And I'm having all of these, you were saying too, like it's a constant conversation in your mind. The more emotionally mature, the more self-aware we become, it does become an ongoing, constant dialogue, even when you're being sweet. So like all the mean criticism is gone from my head. I don't say the mean stuff anymore, but it is a constant negotiation to sort of get through the day and analyze how I feel about, like, have you ever heard of the term lesbian bed death?
No.
Okay. So they say that like lesbians, because women, especially at a certain age, this age, become just very inquisitive and also analytical, that if you have two women, and this is a gross generalization and I'm sure it's not accurate, but
someone's just going to get mad.
That it becomes just analysis paralysis. You're not like, you know, you're just overthinking and over articulating, and you get to a place where all your therapy speak is all you can hear anymore. And sort of the primal is removed. And I feel in my life that that's where I am. The primal has been removed and I just need a good digging down, I think would really help.
And I think for background, for people listening, Katie is single and I'm married. So we kind of bring the two different perspectives into that.
Yeah.
But I think in general, a good dicking is good for most everybody.
It is. And also like yoga stuff, like root chakra stuff, isn't it?
Oh, sex, the root chakra.
Doesn't it pull you out of your head actually to like have an orgasm?
I don't know the tie between sex and chakras, but that's interesting. You might know more than me about that.
Kundalini yoga and stuff is all about connecting really deeply to
primal
your
energy.
To your root, to the root of you. And I think the only reason you want to connect to the root of you is to get the fuck out of your head.
Yeah.
When you're driving yourself crazy.
And connecting to an aliveness. I think any kind of like really high vibrational aliveness that lives within you, I definitely feel like an orgasm can trigger that and a deeper connection to just like aliveness. And you're like, oh, that's what it feels like to be alive.
Right. Yeah. And the good chemicals and the good, all the stuff you release.
Yeah. But back to integration. Right. That's what we're going to talking about integration. So I think earlier we were, I don't know if, I think maybe I brought it up. I was thinking about it on my walk this morning. And I think integration is really important, especially as you get a little bit older. We're both 46, although Katie's a month older than me. Yeah, a month older than me. So she's going to be 47 first. Although we lived a whole year almost thinking we were 47, right? And then we had to ask Google and we're actually 46.
Like the best thing that
super
ever
exciting.
Happened.
But yeah, this idea of integration. And I think you get to a place in your life where you have done a lot of soul searching, you've done a lot of study, you've done a lot of like learning. Right. And then you get to the point to where, okay, what do you do with everything that you know? And you keep on searching and learning. And like, I'm a lifelong learner. So I'm constantly like reading books and like digging in and learning different things. But then like integration, what do you bring into your daily practice? That is from those learnings that you integrate and make your own that actually helps you take the learnings and make your life better.
Yeah. Which is actually totally tied to what we were just talking about. We didn't even realize we did this, but like, it's all up in your head. It's swirling, it's conversations, it's analysis. And it's like, how do you pull it into both your body and also your life and your daily actions? And so I really want it in my body right now. But you are a master of pulling it into your life in like daily ritual, daily practice, that kind of stuff, right?
I mean, I'm a practitioner, and I think what spurred this, right, was you were, as you're going through like your bleeding phase,
right?
You get super angsty. And I was, we were talking yesterday and you were like, I've done the work. I've put all the good juju out. Like, I am deserving of a fucking miracle. I'm deserving of something without so much effort being offered to me at this point in my life. Either the job, the relationship, some ease.
Hand it to me.
Yeah. And I remember when we first met too, I was like really in that state too of like, I just
when does it get flowy?
When is it going to get easy? When are things going to get easier? And I think that there's a balance, right? I think all of us get stuck in that of just like, fuck, I've showed up every single day. I've done it. I've showed up with, I like to say for myself, like, I don't do anything half-assed. I do it with like my whole ass. I've shown up with my whole ass involved, like for years and years and years. We've raised kids. We've done the corporate thing. We've driven, commuted in. We've just completely lost ourselves. And it's like, okay, like now we really feel like it's our time. Like, where's the manifestation? Where are the miracles? Where is the ease? Where is just that flowing into this next step of our life?
The fruits.
Yeah.
Which is where you said that you're not.
Right. The Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. And so I am a yoga teacher, but then I also study and practice the philosophy of yoga. And in one of the main yogic texts, they remind you in the Bhagavad Gita that the journey, so you can't, how does it say? It's like, you are only entitled to the work, not the fruits of your labor.
Which makes me.
It is. Yeah. No, but it's a good reminder.
It's such a good reminder.
Because if we're trying to make life easier and if we're trying to calm the fluctuations of our mind, which is what yoga is all about, and if we're trying to kind of end suffering, then it's like that end result is what we grip on. Yeah. That prize at the end of or the light at the end of the tunnel, or the prize at the end of the effort, or whatever it is. It's like we go through life like, if I just fucking get there, and then it's like
everything will be okay.
Yeah. But then we like miss the day-to-day practices, and that's where we were talking about integration. It's like, but if you release that so you can be a little bit more flowy in the day-to-day, what are the practices day-to-day that you've learned all throughout life that are going to keep you grounded so that you'll actually be in a vibrational state where you'll be ready for it? Because if you're gripping and suffering and being like, fuck, then I think vibrationally we're not as like open for things to flow into our life. But it's something that all of us do, right? And that's the practices of like catching yourself when you're like, yeah. And then you're like, okay, hold on. Like, what do I need to do today? What do I need for myself today? How am I going to show up today? How am I going to make the most of today? And then it's like day after day after day. Yep. And it is a little bit of like that. There's that show, I think it's called Russian Dolls, where it's like she has the same day like over and over over again. And like she kind of knows what's coming. And so she has to navigate life knowing what's coming, but never actually kind of quite getting past the day. Do you remember that show?
Kind of, yeah.
With Natasha Lyonne. But yeah, so we were talking about integration. So what does integration mean for you?
Well, tell me if this is integration or not, but I kind of think it is, because it's along the same lines of how do you not wait for the end result, but prize the ease instead. Yeah. So I was laying in bed this morning and I talked to people in my room that I can't see. And I think like some of them are angels and some of them are spirit guides. And I've had alien visitation. So I don't know who's there, but there was a time in my life when I would try really hard to identify them and ask like their backgrounds or what their names were. And they always said like, no, you're a hyper curious person. You're going to get way too interested in us. And that's going to derail you. So just know that we're here. And then that's all you need to know. And for some reason I accepted that at the time. I was like, okay. So this morning I was talking to them in bed and I was just like, listen, this struggle is so real. I feel, and I know that a lot of it is hormones, but that doesn't make it less real. How heavy and sad I can feel at certain times of the month. And then the things I feel sad about are real and legitimate. And for some reason, because you told me yesterday, you're like, you need a morning ritual. Why don't you have a morning ritual? That'll make it better. And I was like, all right, what is my morning ritual? So I did try and like, get some lemon water and journaled a little bit. And as I was journaling, things were just coming to me. I was just like writing rapid fire. Like sometimes I write and I'm just interested in what it is because it's coming out before I have any idea what I'm saying. And and I love that, like that flow state is my favorite thing. That's my favorite place to exist, like creating, and it almost feels funneled from somewhere. And as I was doing that, I heard them say, it's like the peanut gallery in the rafters of my room. They were like, if the thing you've said you want to do as a writer is to connect with people when they are at their lowest spiritually and they feel disconnection and they feel fearful, if that's what you say you want to do, it's going to be really hard for you to write authentically and empathetically if you're not experiencing some of that yourself. So some of the time you are shown these hurdles or these difficulties, it's so that you will become creative. And so then because they're dicks, they're like showing me in my mind days that I've just had like a beautiful day, hormonally balanced, like everything's wonderful. They're like, what do you, and they showed me a picture of me like watching Bravo and just clicking.
Yeah.
You don't create. And they're like, it's not just you. That's how it is for a lot of creative people. There has to be something motivating you. There has to be panic about money. There has to be deadlines. There has to be some real discomfort or pain that turns you into your work. And so I thought maybe that is a big piece of my integration, where when you're saying, all your practices don't always make sense to me. I'm like, I don't know that would make me feel better. My mom's like, you should swim laps. She told me to swim laps 26 times day before yesterday. I was going to punch her. But I was like, I know for a fact that wouldn't be what felt better. But what felt better was being in the flow state of being creative and channeling it in that way. And if from now on, I can start taking those moments of just total agitation and becoming creative, then it's a lot transmutes that from that place of like resistance, agitation, whatever, into action, I guess.
Did we talk about creativity last time? We didn't, did we?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. I love that you're saying creativity, because in a lot of women that I work with, that like creativity, I love that you're bringing this up, because creativity in your life, or lack of creativity in your life, I think creativity is the most powerful portal. Absolutely. And connecting with something that feels creative,
right,
I think is like life-giving.
Because that's what we're made for with the womb and everything, right?
Yeah, we are creators by nature, but to be able to tap into flow state and to be able to feel good and free in your body, creating something is like so powerful, and it's medicine. It's like medicine. And I love, I love that you said that, because I ask a lot, like people, a lot of like women going through midlife, I work with them and they come to me just like kind of completely shut down. And it's like, they tell me all these things and I'm like, well, what do you do for fun? Or like, what do you do to be creative?
Right.
And they kind of just like, because they've lost that connection to anything that feels fun or creative. And
as had I, like, this is totally new to me.
No, and it's so good. I love that you said this. We didn't talk about this before, but I love it.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
And I love that you ask people that, but it's so hard. If you'd asked me that 3 years ago, I would have said the exact same thing. I would have gone, what are you talking about? I don't have time to have fun. Like I shop online or something. So like I guess for someone who poses that question to themselves, like, what do you like? And their answer is really, I eat, I sit on the couch, I sleep in late. Like when we get to that state of lethargy, which I can completely relate to, I'm there a lot. How do you advise people to find something that might work for them?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I was talking to a woman the other day, and when I asked her what she does for fun, she was like, oh, I love to dance. Mm-hmm. And dancing is creative. Like when I teach yoga, it feels creative. Like movement in your body can be creativity.
Sure. And anything with music, music, take a shower with music with a playlist, and suddenly it's a creative shower. Like, I think music is a huge game changer. Yeah. Music or anything in nature, I think can feel very creative and opening too. Gardening, I think can be a creative outlet. Making healthy food or beautiful food or baking or cooking. Like I know for my younger daughter, when she was going through some really hard times, she would go and bake. It would like, nobody talk to her, nobody come in the kitchen. Right. But that was creative for her, is to use her hand. Anytime you're using your hands in any way, drawing, painting, crocheting, doodling, any of that, writing, it's like
flowing, getting that out. But yeah, when she used to bake, it was really cute because I could tell, I was like, oh, she's working through something. But that was her medicine of like baking. But yeah, coming back to anything creative. And the one I was just talking about before, she was talking about dance. She was talking about music. And it's like, we lose that connection to those vital things. And if you think back to like, at our very core, we're all very primitive, you know, and we lose this. And so this is interesting too, because this is flowing into something I've been sharing in a lot of my yoga classes this week, is this idea of connection and connection to nature and the natural kind of rhythms of nature. And I don't know if this is the word primordially, if I say that. Primordially. I think I make up words sometimes, but anyways, our lizard brains, right? Like if we are really to connect,
sun feels good,
right, or dance or community or like, I mean, we used to ritual, we used to get together and, you know, celebrate the changing of the seasons. The moon, you know, every moon has a different name. They would celebrate the moon, and the moon, different names are all tied to things that are going on in nature. And people used to get together and they used to eat together and dance together and sing together and chant together and move together. And it's like, I feel like we lost that connection because our world is so disconnected. And so it's like
so digitized.
Yeah.
Out here on just a couple blocks away, we have a couple of surf breaks, and it's so cute to me. It looks like a bunch of little bugs, all the people in our community that come and watch the sun come up in the morning over the ocean, and then they come back and watch the sun go down over the ocean. And it's just like they're almost led there by a magnet. I always think that's so cute. And then about dance, I'm just trying to come from a place where I would have been when I was still like locked up. 4 years ago, I thought dance was stupid. I thought it was embarrassing. I thought like I just had a very different idea of it, but I always loved yoga, and I understood why twisting in a certain way actually compressed your internal organs and helped release certain things and helped massage your insides and make you feel better. And I was watching this African dance, like maybe it was TikTok or something, and the way they were moving their bodies was yogic. So they were like doing this spin move where it's like, I was like, oh, I think they're probably compressing their organs in the exact same way as you would yoga. So I almost think a caveat to dance is, and sure, like do the cha-cha if that feels good to you. But the more primal ways of dancing are probably like when you're actually just bouncing repeatedly and getting, you know, barefoot and getting vibration up through your feet. So you're going to look like a hippie at a festival doing that. But if that's what feels good, God damn it, you got to grab whatever you can that feels good at this point.
Yeah. Well, what is that quote? I want to like look it up, but it's like,
you say dance like no one's watching, I'm going to get upset.
No, it's the one where like the people who were seen to be dancing could only hear the music that no one else could hear. My gosh, I feel like I don't have the time to look it up.
You can Google it.
Should I Google it real fast? Okay. So
because I think it's interesting. I have had a lot of rigidity in the way that I've thought about things like this and how I thought about what mattered in life, who I was as a person. And, you know, I have a hard time just like letting loose and connecting with my feminine was one of the biggest parts of my spiritual journey, because I really was in such a performative state for so long, wanting to reach a certain title and put my kids through certain schools and things like that. And it is the opposite side of your brain and your psyche as like, what feels good on my, like what feels good on my titties? What, you know, like what,
to feel free in your body,
to feel free in your body and not necessarily, and not be sexualized either. It's like this feminine state where we either hypersexualize that state or demonize it for lots of cultural reasons, or just escape it altogether. And I was in the escape it altogether group. So I love these conversations because that was a big on-ramp of learning for me. Deprogram what you think you don't like, or deprogram what you think is not acceptable or is silly or is stupid.
What's culturally programmed into you rather than by our weird Western, you know, society. And like what is actually getting back to roots. And I think a lot of us are getting back to roots now. But the quote is by Friedrich Nietzsche, and it says, "Those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music."
Oh, I do like that one.
I really love that one. And I feel like that is like the type of creative freedom.
But there you go. You look insane.
But I see like I love looking insane.
I love that about you. I have such a hard time with that.
I feel free. when I
As
look
you should.
insane.
As you should. And I think that's probably somewhere I'm getting closer, certainly, because I wanted to start a podcast and talk about how I talk to people in my room that aren't there. So I'm getting closer to embracing my own insanity. But yeah, I think that freeness, I don't think I will find a romantic relationship. And I've been single for 7 years now. I think that is the work that's still to be done, is integration with my feminine. I've learned all those things. I believe all those things to be true, but I don't yet know or understand how to inhabit them with my body. Like my mom and I always say, do you know it or do you know it?
Yeah.
And
there's feel it in your nuggets.
Yeah. And there's always two layers for me of reading something, understanding something, and then it's the integration.
Yeah. Of waking up every day. And I've mentioned this to Katie a lot, but I really love the book Mind Magic by Dr. something, Mind Magic. Anyways, he wrote the James Doty, MD. But what I love about that book is because it's scientifically backed, and he has this whole approach to manifestation, and he has these practices that are very aligned to somatics that I really love. And his integration essentially is that you wake up every morning, and during your meditation practice, you allow yourself to kind of visualize or play out in your mind everything going exactly how you want it to go. So let's say like visualizing yourself being free in your body and dancing. It's like you can sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to visualize myself dancing, and like, what would that look like? And how would I feel? And how would my body move? But you almost like visualize yourself first. You have to feel it before you can believe it. And I love the practice.
Or enact it.
Yeah. And you could, and like, but vibrationally, and his whole manifestation thing, and his whole, like, I love his integration, because if you're trying to bring more like, while we want to lose sight of the goal and we want to focus on the practice, you have to have a goal to have the practice. You kind of go back and forth, but the practice is always the most important. And then to have a daily practice of like, okay, how do I want to feel? Who do I want to be? And more than like the end result looking a certain way, it's more how you want to feel when that happens. And so it's like, then you can open up the end result for being a little bit different, but you're like, do I feel how I wanted to feel in this situation? Then yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Into your intuition game, it's like, is this a total full body fuck yes? Or is it a total full body fuck no?
Yeah.
And like being like, okay, do I feel how I want to feel here? It maybe doesn't look exactly how I visioned, but I feel like that's the best way to open up possibility and to open up growth, is like, okay, I have a general idea of how I want to feel. And is this going to help me feel that way?
Yeah.
And then you just never know what's going to happen.
And then you just let go of it from there. Yeah. And I think all this stuff works except for 3 days out of the month for me. Like
where you're like, fuck this, fuck life. I get like that too.
Yeah. If you try to give me advice, I will strangulate you. If you, and it's, I don't know what I want. I think those are probably the dip down days.
Yeah. You're like, I just need it.
I need it. That's probably because I don't know what else
is low vibey.
Your life force is low vibey, and you're in your head and you're so sick of talking yourself through the day and doing that whole, like that 100%. Practice is really sweet on a normal day. We're like talking yourself through like, what do I want my day to feel like? And what I want my day to look like? And you feel groovy about it. And then somehow that flips on its head for a couple days out of the month. So if you're out there and you're having a day where you're like, none of this advice is relevant. I hate everyone. I hate their faces. I hate my own face. I want to stay in bed and rot. Like I think that's kind of part of this
sitting with discomfort.
Yeah.
That is the biggest human learning.
I know.
Learning how to sit with discomfort and not numbing yourself out.
Yep.
And not being like self-medicating or overeating or whatever. And I think that's where the integration and the practices come in, is like, I feel like shit today.
Yeah.
Fully feel like shit, but I'm going to go walk. I'm going to go get sunlight. I'm going to go connect to nature. I'm going to do the things I normally do.
Or I'm just going to try to be not destructive. Like even if all you do is go, I'm
eat 10
not,
cookies.
Yeah, I'm not going to call my toxic ex. I'm not going to,
Although we did talk about that earlier.
We did talk about that earlier.
It might still happen.
I mean, this is a work in progress.
Yeah. And that's the best part. It's like, we were talking about this earlier too. It's like, are we ever fully healed? Like, no.
No. And God damn it.
It's way more fun if we're not all fully healed. Like, let's just be real. And this is also the thing with like yoga gurus or like yoga teachers, is like, I will never sit up in front of a group of people and be like, I'm fully healed. I have all of this figured out, because I know for a fact someone is going to catch me not
doing something whack,
yelling at people while I'm driving.
Right.
You know, something will come up from my past. I mean, there's a lot I shared last time. You know, I'm a totally imperfect person.
Yeah.
Before I'm a teacher, I'm a student, and I am imperfect more than anything. And I love that Ram Dass quote. I say it all the time. I don't know if I repeat myself, but we're all walking each other home.
Yeah.
Like, as I sit in front of a group of yogis or I share things with people, I'm like, I'm just like you.
We're on this exact same path.
Exact same path. And it's like, you're going to share things with me. And like, I could share equally as fucked up shit with you. You know, I'm never
going to. I love that. And that's to dispel a rumor in the healing self-help. So this book that I wrote was about my spiritual journey and about recovering from trauma and becoming comfortable enough a vessel to sit fully inside my body and be embodied, whatever that means. And I think what I've really struggled with is the very end, because I felt so tempted to sort of, the last couple chapters have stayed in edit mode, even with the publisher. And they're like, what's happening here? And it's because I don't feel honest saying, and now everything's wonderful. Yeah. Like, can I say some parts of my life are better? Yes. Is my life objectively better from the outside? Yeah. Not necessarily. You know, I think there was a lot of growth. I think there was a lot of learning. I think I am going to have the second half of my life, maybe a more authentic or more like embodied experience. I think when things do feel good, they feel good more fully now. I think I'm able to access hope a lot more easily now, things like that. But yeah, I think the truth of a lot of these yoga teachers and self-help authors is, and then I moved on to the next lesson. Yeah. Because that's what happened with me. Then I went right into perimenopause, and it was like, Mother of God. Yeah. And what did you call it? I don't want to Gwendolyn Doyle, the book. Yes. Tell that story, because I didn't really put all that together, but I love that example. Well, and I like, no disrespect, because I really, really like this author. Her name is Glennon Doyle, and she writes in a very like raucous, raw way, and just super relatable, very earnest. And so she wrote a really similar book. I believe it's called Untamed, quite a few years ago, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. And the timing of it was, for me, that just as I finished reading her book, the high level synopsis is she's stuck in a marriage, like her agitating factor. Everybody has an agitating factor, and that's how they start growth, right? That's how you start a growth journey. It's either you're dissatisfied or somebody dies, or you're in like an unhappy discomfort. And so her agitating factor discomfort was, she was really unhappy in her marriage. And so she went back to explore, like, how did I get here? How did I get to this place in my life? And there was childhood trauma, and she had battled I want to say an eating disorder and alcoholism. And so she went and addressed those things. And the ending of the book was she found her way back to herself and back into her marriage. And it was like a ta-da, like kind of a happily ever after. I closed the book, and one day later, I have the Today Show on, and they're talking about how she has moved in with, it's actually a really famous, I want to say she's a really famous soccer player. Yeah. Yeah. And so she met the love of her life. You can tell from just the way they interact with each other, and that they are that's her actual soulmate. You know, and so the chapter that she ta-da'd wasn't her ta-da, but she just wanted to end the book, right? And she felt like she should end it on an up note. And so as I was writing my book, like I told you, there's people in my room. So she left her marriage and ended up starting a new relationship. After the book was over. Yeah. And so it was just an interesting thing, because I was certainly looking for that over the course of writing my book. I was like, well, where's the ta-da? Where's the ta-da? I was desperate for it. I would cry for it. I was asking for it. And they would come back, because the universe has like the most wicked sense of humor of anyone I know. They would say, well, don't Glennon Doyle it. Like, you wouldn't want to say, like, you wouldn't want to make up a ta-da, like some dude comes into your life or something, and that is what absolved you of any of life's inconveniences. And then, you know, it wouldn't be the truth. And it isn't what you're trying to do here. What you're trying to do here is be, and I'm not at all saying that author was trying to be dishonest. I really think she believed that was her ta-da at that time. And that was the end of that story for her. And then she just started a new story. But as I've been really struggling to wrap up my story, it just feels weird to write a book that doesn't really have an ending. It just leaves you kind of like, and then I was on to the next. Yeah. But maybe if that's the most honest way to do it,
No, I love it because I don't think we ever stop learning.
Right.
I don't think there are any clean endings to anything. I don't think that people truly get over anything. I don't think that people ever truly like forgive and forget. You know, I think all those things that we want very clean, very cut and dry, like circling. I'm done with that. And it's like, no, you're never done with anything. You learn what you can from it. I love the saying, like everything's either a lesson or a blessing. Yeah. And you take those lessons or you take the blessings and you move on. But it doesn't mean that nothing ever is going to come up again or things aren't going to change. It's just like you live this experience as a human, and this experience as a human is imperfect. It's not, you can't tie anything in a little bow.
As bad as we want it to be, we want it so bad.
So bad. And I think that why we get so drawn to authors is because they do give us this perception, right? A lot of authors of like, oh, pretty little bow, all done. Like, and then we like have this beautiful ending, or sometimes it's a tragic ending or whatever. And it's like, sometimes you just get through it.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, okay, wow.
I lived through that shit.
Yeah, I lived. I'm still here.
I stayed alive.
Yeah.
Which happens all the time in like war stories or man stories. Like they're always surviving something. But for us, being a survivor doesn't feel adequate, and it should feel adequate.
Yeah, I agree.
I lived through that.
There's I don't know what has ever been tied in a pretty little bow for me. It's just, it's not human.
Right.
And I love that. That feels very authentic to me, and also gets back to the quote I shared earlier from the Bhagavad Gita of like, we are entitled to the work, but we're not entitled to any destination or fruits of our labor or anything. Yeah. And I do think it's deceiving for any author to, I think we get drawn to it, but it's just, it's not true. So I love that you stayed authentic to that. And you're like, no, I just had this wild experience. And I think a lot of people have wild experiences and they're too scared to share it with people because it's like, they were dancing to music that no one could hear. But a lot of us are dancing to music that no one can hear because no one has been in our skin and lived through what we've lived through. And a lot of us don't share a lot of the things that we are struggling from or healing from. And it's like, we are all dancing to our own little symphony and doing our very best.
We sure are.
So the integration. So back to integration, I think that what is the takeaway for that? Like,
I guess, so I've been telling stories about just how hard this last month was for me hormonally. So I guess my lesson learned from this month,
breakdancing,
is probably breakdancing. It's that I definitely won't post on Instagram the next day that I'm having. No, but I think it's that there are a few days a month that I am so blocked. I can't do that kind of integration work. I'm just going to call you and say, I'm trying to survive the day, and that's okay. So like a couple of survival days, make a note of those. But then I think it's the creativity. So I think it's when I'm suffering, if that's what I say I want to do with my time, if that's what I say makes me happier than anything else, then that needs to be the thing that I turn to. And so I think my integration takeaway, at least for the next 30 days, is going to be anytime I'm feeling extreme discomfort, I'm going to try and channel that into creativity so that it becomes something, it poops out something beautiful, right?
Give your pain a purpose.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that one too. That's another, I don't know who said that or whatever, but I think of that a lot.
So I love it. What's your integration strategy for the month?
So something that I'm working on, what's actually this year, it was a kind of New Year's resolution focus for the year, is that in terms of like my healing, and my journey of trying to heal from things, like I really, for the longest time and way longer than I should have really overvalued other people's ideas. And I really needed a lot of external validation to feel good about myself. And so my integration is every time I feel angsty about not feeling seen or heard or validated, that I turn back to myself and I'm like, how do you feel? Because how you feel is more important than how anybody else feels. So my integration right now practice is always coming back to myself. And as I get really angsty and I'm like, because I'm also trying to create and bring things into the world and change my career and everything. And sometimes I put a lot of stuff out and then I don't get a lot of traction or, I don't get like a lot of feedback from people in my family or whatever. And I always have to come back to be like, what is true for you in your heart? How do you feel? And let that be enough.
I love that.
So that's like a daily integration for me, is being like, and I was sharing with you earlier, like my morning practice is putting my hands on my heart and being like, good morning, you bad bitch. What do we need today? What's going to be super great for us? What are we going to do? And like way less being like looking for somebody to call me or text me or show up for me or, you know, be
it
like.
It comes from within.
Yeah.
You know, everything you need comes from within. Yeah. But and also is true. There are certain times, whether it's hormone related or not, that you get pissed and you wish somebody would hand it to you on a silver platter.
Yeah.
And so it's balancing, being aware of both of those.
Right.
Yeah.
And just sitting with the discomfort and being like, I got to sit with this. Cause if I keep on pushing it away and keep on being like, oh, don't feel like that. Don't feel like that. Don't feel like that. Like, you know, what is the word I'm looking for is like toxic positivity, you know, it's like sometimes you just got to be, this is fucking shitty. I'm going to sit in the shit today and just let it feel shitty.
Right.
And be like, okay, and when I feel really shitty, like, what do I need? Like, do I need creativity? Do I need to just sit here and have a bed rotting day?
Have a cry,
Yeah, just have a bed rotting day or whatever. Or just like let myself feel shitty, but then don't let yourself feel shitty too long and be like, okay, you've allowed yourself to kind of wallow in it.
As soon as you feel a tiny bit better, I think most of us, like, it's like, oh God, I feel better. Like, what can I do with this now? How can I change my circumstances?
Yeah. But allowing, because when you are trying to change your life and like both of us are really reconsidering our careers, when you're trying to change your careers, when your kids are out of the house, when you're going through perimenopause and you do have those moments of like, I just want something to fucking be easy and work out. And then rather than being like, keep on trying, it's like, no, I'm going to be fucking pissed that things aren't easier for me. And I'm going to feel really bad for myself today because that's what I need. And I think like, then if you don't do that, eventually it's going to come back up somewhere. And it's just, you got to just sit there and like, feel it. Yeah. Feel it to heal it, as they say, I guess. This human experience is hard and like allow it to be hard every once in a while and like not try to sugarcoat it and just be like, fuck, I've been really trying to change things for a long time and it's slow as molasses sometimes.
Right.
And that's irritating.
It is irritating. Yeah. When the pep talk gets old, just turn to empathy. Be like,
right. Yeah. And you're like, it is hard.
It's hard.
Yeah. Sometimes you just want someone to be like, it is hard.
Yeah.
And you're like, thank you, self. I know you have your talk with the aliens and I don't know who I'm talking to quite yet, but me, myself, and I, but we do have our little pep talks. And sometimes, you just want someone to be like, it is hard. I know.
Hard. Yeah. You're doing great,
like,
sweetie.
Yeah. It is hard. Yeah.
What are we at?
49 minutes.
I mean,
I think we covered all the shit today.
We're kind of a machine so far for being 2 episodes in and wrapping at like 46 and 49 minutes and talking about all this stuff we wanted to.
Yeah.
I think we're really good at this.
Good job, Fartface.
Good job, Fartface.
Yeah. Fartface. Out.
Is that what it is? It should be something else. No, it's not good to like do the hand thing if there's only 2 people. You did?
We should come up with a cool handshake.
We should come up with a cool handshake.
We'll work on that for next time. Those of you that are watching on video. Yeah. Okay. Thanks all for joining in, listening to Fartface.
Ta for now.
Fartface on Fartface.
Just remember, all great podcast hosts have a signature sign off.
Do they? Okay. We have to work on that. We're already failing. Okay. Goodbye.